what a tune. And because I've got nothing whatsoever to do with the choice of music, I can say I think it has been especially stunning this afternoon. Now then, you know, I think by now, that I love a good thriller, good crime book, and I also love books set in my beloved Manchester. Robert Parker is a crime writer who is writing, well, it's tick-tick, really, as far as your books are concerned, Robert. Crime, thriller and Manchester. Now, your first book, and we talked about... Hello, by the way.
Hello.
I didn't say hello.
Nice to be here.
It's because we've been chatting during the song. But your first book was all about Ben Bracken, an ex-soldier who's just cut out of Strange Ways. But this time you have shifted your attention, and this is a place in between Manchester and Liverpool, isn't it?
That's right. I'd written 3 Ben Bracken books on the trot, and I needed a bit of a change, to be honest, by that point. And a lot of them were quite... industrial in their setting, in inner city places and things like that, and that isn't actually me. I'm more of a rural boy, to be honest. I live in Warrington, right between Liverpool and Manchester. I've always identified more as being a Mancunian, although my football loyalties are more Liverpudlian.
Right,
to
you
be
just
honest.
ruined it.
But I've just totally destroyed it.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I like that when you're from Warrington, you don't quite know, are we Scousers? Are we Manx? What are we? And it's a kind of a fun little... I've always lived there, always enjoyed living there. And I like the opportunity that being between those two great cities gives me. And I like the landscape in between. So
you've set this book in a fictional village, somewhere around the Warrington area, called Crook's Hollow.
That's right.
And it's about Thor Loxley, isn't it? From the Loxley farming dynasty, who's trying to find out who wants to kill him.
That's right. This is an attempted murder mystery, essentially, but not me attempting to write a murder mystery. It's about someone who survives an attempt on their life, and who then has to try and put the pieces together as to why that happened. All set in a very little community where everyone knows everyone else's businesses, and these communities are all around us all the time, and I had an awful lot of fun with that. I've always loved small town stories because I think that when all the elements are in there and there's nowhere to room, there's nowhere to move, nowhere to breathe, and all the elements rub against each other, and it refines it into a sort of a powder keg for drama.
But Thor, I mean, your last hero, as I said, was Ben Bracken. But Thor sounds like, well, you know, some kind of a god, or he sounds like a Marvel comic character.
He does, yeah. Well, it's short for Thornton, because this character is the youngest of 6 siblings, and he's the black sheep of the family. And in the story, he has wholesale rejected his lineage, so to speak, and in doing that, he's abbreviated his name to Thor from Thornton. And
he's one of those kind of people who sorts things out himself. Keeps it in-house, doesn't it?
And I think that comes as a byproduct of his background. I think that what I certainly experienced growing up in a place like Crook's Hollow, a place which will remain nameless because I still want to go back there and have a pint in the pub there and whatever, but very much there was an onus on you sort things out on your own terms and you handle things in-house. And I thought that if this character had a problem, he'd try and work out how to solve matters all by himself.
And the problem he has, which is lucky for you, because if he was the type to go to the police, it wouldn't be the same.
It would be about a prologue, the whole book.
You have such control, don't you? You know?
Yeah, I love it.
They're the puppets. They dance to your tune.
That's it. And usually when I sit down to write it, certainly in the case of Crook's Hollow, I hadn't a clue what was going to happen. I had no idea whatsoever. There was no plan or anything like that. I sat down and wrote it in 6 weeks, and in the summer of 2016, and I just loved it. I felt like the gloves were off, and that I could just do whatever I wanted in this little... Well, partly because I'd invented this place, and suddenly my rules began to apply a little bit.
Yes, but I mean, obviously there'll be loose ends which are tied up, you know, towards the end, or at the end of the book. How can you not know? A lot of authors say this to me.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you can not know what's going to happen.
I honestly didn't know.
Or who's done it.
I had no idea who did it. It started with, and it's no spoiler to say that the book opens with attempted murder by combine harvester, which sounds absolutely absurd, but I always thought, wouldn't it be cool to try and, you know, in a gloomy setting, you know, and trying to outrun a combine harvester and all that kind of stuff, and It started from there. So I wrote the opening scene, and questions sort of developed in my mind from there, and then a cast began to grow out from that. And then before you knew it, I had ideas. Still didn't know who the villain was. So when I write the sort of the points where the villains interact, I still didn't know who they were. I just insert villain here kind of thing. And then it became apparent, oh yeah, it makes complete sense that they are the villain now, which meant that I could write everyone, all the characters, completely openly and honestly without giving it away, if you know what I mean.
But you're very lucky, aren't you, that you're confident enough to start and know that it's going to come to you.
Well, that's right. Having said that, though, it doesn't go like that all the time. I'm writing something at the moment where I don't actually know how it's going to finish. It's another kind of thing. But I'm struggling with that, actually, and because I know that if I go one way with it, it'll turn into a different genre entirely, and it might go more down the horror route, and that's not where I'm sort of building my career at the moment, is it? But so I'm struggling with that. So I've had to put it in a drawer, and I'm just stepping away from that. And I'll probably have to get out the pens and work out what I'm going to do from there.
It's very interesting. You've done lots and lots of different things. You're a dad, aren't you? Last time we met, you were a dad of 2. You are now a dad of 3.
Yeah.
And you've done a law degree. You've done film and media production.
Yeah.
You've been a van driver.
Yeah, I love that.
a warehouse order picker.
Yeah, I love that too, actually. Those are really the happiest times.
Really?
Yeah, because I like... I found that doing those things, I had a lot of time with my own brain.
Yes.
And writing stories would always happen during those times, actually. So when I had my own headspace, whenever I'd finish those things, I would go and write like mad.
And as a solicitor's agent, you really need to concentrate on other things.
Yeah, there was no headspace going on there whatsoever.
No headspace. And you are, though, you're not a kind of working in any job by day. You do this, don't you, full time?
I do, yeah. Again, super lucky. If you said that this would be the chance I'd have just laughed at you. But I certainly believe that if a chance comes along, you got to grab it.
Is this on the back of the success of your first book, then?
Yeah, I certainly would say that I'm thrilled with how that went. A Wanted Man exceeded any expectation I actually had for it. And we're not done with Ben Bracken yet whatsoever.
So can we say he's coming back?
I did actually check with my publisher today whether I could say, July 27th is when Ben Bracken will be back in paperback and ebook.
But in the meantime, Crook's Hollow is the one. Lovely
right.
to see you, Robert. Thank you very much indeed.
Likewise.
Let's see what we're talking about next time and how Crook's Hollow goes. Best of luck with that.
Thank you so much.
And this is Tina Turner, The Best.